So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast, the post-match review, just a day late, of Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2. I'm just going to say that I called it. I called that we would find some way to have a half-decent performance, put in, do something different, create a few chances, but instantly, I suppose, incidentally coming away from the game at the end with our tail between our legs, still feeling as sour as we did at the start of the game, and ultimately kind of doing it all for nothing. And that's essentially what happened. Could be the shortest ever post-match review ever, but that's essentially what happened. Couldn't score for Toffee. If we were still there, we probably wouldn't have scored. And some woeful finishing. Yeah, Kepa kept a couple of them out, but some of the finishing was just woeful for those as well. And yeah, Chelsea got their two simple goals and we couldn't buy a goal. That was the way it was. Paddy, over to you.
Is that it? We're done? Yeah, look, I think the word you mentioned there was sour. You came away from it being sour. I didn't come away from the game itself being sour. The sourness comes from the fact that if we'd have played like this in our two previous games, we'd have won the two fucking games. And that's the problem. So why hold this in reserve to put that performance against Chelsea and play those tactics against Chelsea, when if we'd have done it against Leeds and just I'm really forgetting now who the one after that was.
Forest, yeah.
We'd be 6 points better off. Oh, you have no doubt in my mind if we'd have played like that in those two games. So he saves it for fucking Chelsea, who we gift a goal and then the referee gives them a goal, albeit a brilliant finish, but absolutely gifted a goal.
And then was a brilliant finish. Which one did you think?
The free kick was excellent, albeit the referee
Shite! I genuinely have no idea what Emery Martinez was doing for that. He takes a step to his right and goes, "Oh, I'm goosed." There's no way a goalkeeper should be letting that in. Anyway, sorry, that's just my view.
Well, I watched an angle of it about 10 minutes ago before coming on, and the ball takes an unmerciful swerve in the air from what I can see. Not enough to beat him.
No, 35 yards. It's 35 yards out from goal. No.
But the referee has moved the wall back 12.5 yards, which again gifted them the free kick, which was never a free kick. Gifted them the goal by giving them enough space to get the ball up and over the wall, and it should never have went in the way it went in, but it went in, and as you say, it makes absolutely no difference because if we'd have been there all night, we probably wouldn't have scored. But not sour with the performance whatsoever. I'm absolutely not sour with the performance.
Yeah,
there's a couple of things in there that annoyed me, but the sourness comes from those past two games where we should have gone and got 6 points, and we didn't. Because of the tactics. We were set out not to lose the game instead of trying to win it. And then we go and try and beat Chelsea. I'm just at a loss to what's going on with our club. I really am. I can't. There's only so much I can say about it. I'm just bamboozled by the whole thing. And yeah, that's what I'm sour about. I'm not sour about the game itself. I thought we looked like a coherent football team for long periods of the game. But ultimately, nothing at the end of it.
Yeah, and there's a couple of people talking about the links that have come from Percy and from Matt Law and stuff, and we will get on to those. If you guys haven't seen the thumbnail for this, let's just take a little look at it there. Where is it gone to? I'll take the two of us off the screen. You can take. That's not going to play very well for the people who listen to it in the audio podcast because there was about 10 seconds of dead air there. But yes, we will talk about that in a moment. We just want to kind of get the post-match review out of the way. So stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel and like this and tell all your friends about it as well. But yeah, look, I got a bit excited there about the free kick, but and look, I know it does take a swerve, but no, 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 no,
No, it absolutely shouldn't go in. I'm not.
no,
I'm not. I'm not
no,
saying it should go in.
no.
It absolutely takes a swerve. It shouldn't go in. That step completely put Emmy
Yeah.
Martinez out of sync.
I don't know why he needs to take that step though, because like the ball was never going to that position. It's like anyway. Look, we won't dissect it too much. We were like, it's. I still don't think that's what killed us, because I think our opportunity to score another goal and to get back into the game was gone at that stage. Because my biggest gripe with the game at the weekend was, if Tyrone Mings takes another four, like if you were to cross 1,000 balls into the box the way that ball was crossed in, if you were to re-simulate that 1,000 times, he can't do that again. There's no way that you can move your head in that direction and for it to glance the way it did directly into Mason Mount's path. And look, people can pan him all they want, but like, there's no way he meant to do that. It's that was a freak error. And yeah, should he have done it? No. Was it an absolute blow to the system? 100%. Then
A
the
freak,
team comes
a
out
freak
after.
error which obviously wasn't helped by the spin on the ball either. There's a lot of things at play. I definitely not going to call him out on it, because he is being absolutely immense this season.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he's the second last line of defence. He makes an error, it's a goal. Our last line of defence made an error, it's a goal. I'm not calling him out either. It's just the luck that we have at the moment, and I believe you create your own luck, and we're not creating anything at the moment.
And that goes to show as well, when we look at the attacking impetus that we had, we created a few more chances, still couldn't finish anything. Some of the shots that were taken were really poor. I'm still here looking and going, yeah, Danny Ings might have been stretching for the header or whatever, but like how wide is a goal? The same with Leon Bailey.
Oh
Leon
yeah,
Bailey stretching for a header at the back post. But the one that kind of gets me is the screwball scramble that happened. And I know ultimately it was called offside because Ings was offside when the ball comes back to him. But how players aren't like, and I know it's tough in the moment. We've all played the game. We've all just tried to put our laces through it and hope for the best at times. But the ball comes to people there at least 3 times, and everyone is just too busy hoping the net bulges as opposed to trying to do something with it to make it bulge. And I know everyone's going to go, oh, what are you supposed to do in the moment? It's split second reactions, and I 100% understand that. But what I loved about that was when the ball comes back to Douglas Luiz, and I don't know, does it get lost in the moment? Watch what Douglas Luiz does when the ball comes back to him. What a turn at the edge of the box. What a little flick and turn at the edge of the box to make tons of space. And the thing that kind of annoys me about that is, if Philippe Coutinho could do that, if he still had that left in his body, or maybe he does, we just don't see it enough. If he still had that and he takes a shot like that, you'd be more inclined to think it would go in the back of the net. Now, Douglas Luiz doesn't miss by much, but he misses the target and doesn't work the goalkeeper. And I suppose them are the fine margins that when the ball drops to Mason Mount, he finishes the ball no problem. Our guys just can't finish no matter who it is at the moment, and that's frustrating. Leon Bailey hits the crossbar. I thought Leon Bailey had a pretty good game from an attacking point of view, but all our good efforts came in the first half. The second half, we were outcoached, and we were outcoached because of the changes Potter made. We brought on Coutinho, Buendia, and Dendoncker. Similar 3 substitutions we've made in the last couple of games, and look, it's stifled our progression, and Chelsea were able to comfortably see out the game then afterwards. And that's the frustrating part for me, is that we've had 2 errors. There is a bit of a blame game that goes on there on social media from time to time. That's fine. That blows over after 24 hours or whatever. But in the cold light of day, we missed our chance to score a goal. And after we missed that chance, we were very much the second best team in that second half. But we were the second best team because we could not react to the changes that Chelsea made. And beforehand, I know I'm speaking an awful lot here, Paddy, but beforehand, I did make the case that, look, Chelsea's bench was way stronger than ours, and that's where you need to get to. And they just had, top player after top player after top player on their bench, and we didn't have that. But I still think that, if a team is going to be well drilled, when they make changes, and specifically 2 changes to their backline and bringing on Koulibaly and Azpilicueta, 2 people who I thought would start in the first place, we should still be able to exploit that, as opposed to just completely blows us out of the water, and we never looked like we could change pace after that. Strange.
No. I have an issue with the substitutions, our own substitutions.
Yeah, so do I.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question first.
Uh,
Explain to me the new rules between making the 5 substitutions.
they have to be made in 3 substitution windows. Am I right? That's what I was. I don't know a pile about them, but you like if you
Or
make 1-1-1, you can't
you
make
can't make any more.
1-1-1-1-1. Yeah, yeah,
Or you can make your substitutions at half time
yeah,
and
yeah.
make them 1-1-1. So why, if he knew in his heart and soul that he's bringing on Coutinho and Buendia,
Yeah.
does he wait the 7 or 8 minutes? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. This is just the in-game decision making that I've been criticising all along. So he made the 2 decisions. Then I'm going, we've got one more now. And then we bring
Yeah.
on Den Donker and we're looking at whatever 12, 14 minutes plus stoppage time. That if anyone goes down, we can't bring anyone on. We have to manipulate the way these rules work in order to help us. So there should have been that extra. Look, that's just me being picky here now. But I just thought,
I think you're right, Paddy, because like it just goes to show that he doesn't trust some of the players he has on the bench, and has to fill the bench. You know, like you've got Sanson and Nakamba there, like. You know, I'm not saying that either, and I still don't believe either of those 2 players come on and turn any game in its head. They just don't. They never have. They haven't got many chances since Steven Gerrard came in. Nakamba was a world beater for 3 or 4 games when he came in. But like, if you're going to be relying on Nakamba to change the course of a game, I don't know what footballing tactic you're going to have to change it to at that end. Maybe Sanson does it, but look, I think the baby's out with bathwater there with Sanson.
We make our last decision on 77, 78 minutes.
That's what I mean.
And all of a sudden, we pick up a nasty injury and someone's down. We're down to 10 men, despite the fact that we've 5 substitutions.
There's absolutely no reason why Coutinho and Buendia couldn't come on at the same time. Like, you know, if you're going to change it, change it. Don't defeat the change. All it does is stifle the game plan further along the line. That's my view. No, there might be another.
All it does for me is tell me that he was never going to bring on anyone else.
Yeah.
Or he didn't realise the rules himself. I just thought that was a really strange decision.
There's another.
And apparently, it's not the first time he did it. He made one last week within 4 minutes of each other as well, I believe. I haven't had a chance to go back and check it.
Yeah.
But somebody did say that today.
There was a point as well. There was look, I know I shouldn't do it to myself. But there was a strange comment made after the game again, Paddy, about Leon Bailey. The coaching staff said we can either. He said, what was it? The videos or someone said to him, you can either play him for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And we said we'd play him for 60 minutes. And I'm kind of going, you're making no sense. You're making no sense. Like, that makes no sense, man. You know, I like just stuff like that. But and if there's going to be things like that, they're going to take into account making a substitution, 2 substitutions in 4 minutes. And as you say, that doesn't give us an opportunity to maybe, you know, bring on somebody else if we do have an injury or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense. It's bad game management.
Yeah,
you know?
I just double checked that while you were talking there, right? So last week he brought on Den Donker for John McGinn on 77 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
I was just going to check it there. I was feeling to try and check myself.
Then he brought on Cameron Archer for Jacob Ramsey. Now, bear in mind that was 4 minutes later he brought on Cameron Archer for Jacob Ramsey. He had already brought on a substitute after 65 minutes. So on 81 minutes, play devil's advocate, we score a goal just after that substitute is made. If those 2 are made together and we go 2-1 up, there's an opportunity to shore up the midfield by bringing on another substitute. Seem to have lost Neil. I don't know whether he can hear me or not, or I don't know whether you can hear me or not, but it just seemed like a really strange decision that we could make those 2 substitutes together and then we could bring on someone else to shore up the midfield, be it Nakamba or be it Sanson. So anyway, that's me playing devil's advocate, talking about what's happened in the past. But let me know in the comments there if you can hear me, and maybe I'll go through a couple of the comments while we've lost Neil. So let me see if there are any questions in here. Good man, Neil, for leaving me all on my own again. Let me see. What have we got here? Okay, so Scotty says players played safe instead of paying the extra 25% needed. Neil has lost connection. He'll be back in a minute. It says players still played safe. I don't think they did play safe. I thought we played a lot more expansive football than we have done in the last few weeks, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier on. I thought we were better. I thought we used the ball better. I thought we attacked better. Where we were beaters, no, we couldn't score. If we'd have scored the chances that we created, we'd be looking at a completely different conversation today. It's just the problem that I have is that we did not do that in the last few weeks, which is very annoying when we were playing against a lesser opposition. So Nathan Stokes says, I've never in 30 years been so disconnected with the club as I am now. And I'm reading a lot of this, Nathan, and I don't know whether it's just people repeating it or not, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm quite disconnected myself. I'm due to go this weekend. Only I'm bringing my son as a treat. I think I'd cancel. And I know that's a horrible statement to make, and I should feel a whole lot more privileged to go and see Aston Villa because that's, the most important thing of the least important things in my life. So to be as disconnected as I am, to go recording a podcast is nearly a chore because you're just saying the same things, and I worry that you guys are listening back and going, God, he's just saying the same, he's regurgitating the same story. I do feel disconnected. The idea of a match being on at 2:00 on a Sunday and doing a day trip and having to get up at 3:00 in the morning, drive to Dublin, get on a flight, not get home till 1 or 2 o'clock the next morning. That doesn't appeal to me right now with what I'm watching. It is really, really hard to justify it to myself. And look, I'll do it anyway because I've bought and paid for the flights, albeit flights, when you do it the right way, flights are not that expensive. And it's great to be able to do it. But I'm just, the will to do it is not in me. Obviously, things could turn around on Thursday night and I could feel a whole lot better about how things are. But can I see that coming? I don't know. I worry about going to Wolves on Thursday night, and we'll probably do a preview of that maybe on Wednesday, and will anyone else lost connection? Can you guys tell me if you're all still there? Someone asking if they've lost connection? No. Okay. I'll continue on till I'm told otherwise. It says there's over 200 people in here. Thanks so much, Adam. We played better, but that's taking a 1 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10. Bit harsh. 1 out of 10 to 3 out of 10, probably a bit harsh. I thought we were a lot better than that, especially in the first half. 100% in the first half. I thought we were a much better side, and that's what's sticking in my my neck, that we couldn't do this against the lesser teams, because I think we definitely would have gone on and beaten Leeds and beaten Notts Forest as well. There was one there now. Ronan, glad to hear you're going to Villa Park again on Sunday. You'll buy me a pint. Not if I have to drive back to Limerick, but maybe I'll get the bus because I might need points to numb the pain. Hopefully it won't come to that, but we'll try and go and enjoy the day as best we can. Look, the most important thing for me is that this is our release. This is what makes us happy. And when I go on a trip to Villa Park, I get to see all my old mates, and there's nothing better to just sit there and shoot the breeze and see how they are and talk to people and make sure everybody's in good health and good fettle. And Neil, you got to do your ant and deck thing there because I can't cope with this either.
Good job, no problem. There we go.
There we go.
Scrolling on the page again. Yeah.
So while you were gone, we were just somebody was talking about a disconnect, and I just said that I'm booked to go over this weekend, and I'm really not feeling it. And if I wasn't bringing my son, I probably would knock it on the head. The thoughts of getting up at 3:00 in the morning to drive to Dublin to get a flight, to come back, getting into bed at 12 or 1 o'clock and getting up for work on Monday, it does not exactly appeal to me at the moment.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I Don't know what happened. My potato-powered internet's struck again. It's been a long time since that happened. Just lost connection. But I'm back. So don't worry about it. And I must admit, Paddy, for about 5 minutes before my internet went, I was only getting like every fifth or sixth word you were saying anyway. So it was a harbinger of what was to come, I think. But
Fair enough.
it sounded great and cogent to me anyway. So it was fantastic. It must have sounded absolutely beautiful to everybody else who was listening. Scotty UK, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. There's a point for you, Paddy.
Cheers, Scotty.
When you get over there. Rob Henry's says here, I don't know if you mentioned this one. Was it Potter's changes that did it? I think that, and the fact that we were probably out of ideas at that stage. You know, I genuinely think that the confidence of this team is on the floor. And when you have that screwball scramble moment, even though it was flagged as offside, or when Kepa basically was stopping marbles inside goals, you know, I think the team thought, what the hell have we to do? And Chelsea all probably went into the dressing room as well and went, you know what, we got away with one or two there in that half. We just need to be a bit better. And, you know, there's a gulf in confidence. And there's a gulf, I suppose, in mentality at the moment between the two teams. And when it's been nearly drummed at you how bad you are at scoring goals, and then you feel like, oh, our luck is out today, you know, it just compounds everything. And I know the professional footballers and that shouldn't happen, but they're humans as well at the same time. So it does, and it happens to everybody.
Neil, I've been waiting on you to come back because I've this topic sitting on the tip of my tongue all day waiting to discuss this with you. So I want you to cast your mind back to playing Arsenal. I have a feeling it was my birthday in March.
It was Paddy's weekend because we christened the child the same day, and we christened Paddy's day.
And I went to Ireland versus Scotland in the Six Nations that afternoon. It was an early kickoff. Mr. Tyrone Mings slides in, full stretch, makes a pass. The ball goes out to the sideline and we're on the attack. And the referee pulls the game back and gives a yellow card.
And people were talking about him getting sent off.
There is people in the studio, apoplectic with rage, looking for a red card for Tyrone Mings. The same clowns think it was perfectly okay for Mason Mount to be 5 minutes late taking Jacob Ramsey out.
Chilwell.
Chilwell. And apparently it was a harsh yellow. A harsh fucking yellow. What hope have PGMOL of getting this right if we can't have these people in the studio being impartial? It's an absolute joke. A joke.
That is true.
I don't understand. You can't have impartial people in the studio because you have the same heads, the same idiots, the same absolute clowns spouting the same absolute shite week after week. If that wasn't a red card, I don't know what is. It was miles late. His studs were up. He was out of control. All of these things we were fed back in the day when it was right to say it because they knew that all of those greedy six will be on the receiving end of these challenges. Now when it's the other way around, it's not even spoken about. So how justify to me how those people were looking for a red card for Tyrone Mings for kicking the ball and a harsh yellow for Ben Chilwell for being 5 hours late and catching Jacob Ramsey, because I lost the plot when I heard that yesterday. It was the only time I got annoyed yesterday. I was absolutely raging at the rhetoric coming off Sky Sports. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I think I watched the same feed as Mike Warmbold because when I was watching as well, there was American commentary, completely street legal and everything. But that's what I was watching, and they were convinced it was going to be red as well, and so was I. And then when it wasn't, I was aghast. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know would it even change the game.
But regardless of whether
it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have. But it's if right is right. The rules are rules, and if
people don't speak about this, PGMOL are never going to change. They're always going to favour the big guy and not give a shit about the likes of Aston Villa. They have to be called out on it. There's bigger platforms than us that will call them out on it. I hope.
Yeah.
But the likes of those people, and they know who they are, need to have a long, hard look at themselves. The same people didn't even bother giving us the manager's views after the game because they were so much in a hurry to get into the biggest game of the year, which was coming up afterwards.
That was bad form, that's bad form, because if a manager turns around and says, I don't want to do a post-match press conference, they get fined. So then the courtesy has to be extended both ways, I think, in that instance. And plus,
and the bottom line is they have decided to play us at 2:00 on a Saturday, on a Sunday.
Yeah.
When they had a choice of 3 other games, was it 3 other games at 2:00?
Yeah.
That they could have shown live, but they discommoded us and Chelsea with no need to discommode us. That's another game that I missed out on my season ticket because of Sky Sports. Now I'm just raging because they don't even give you the kind of coverage you deserve. Like, if they're going to do that, why not go switch over to Sky Sports Premier League, where we'll continue the discussion on this game? But no, they just want to go straight into the one that all the masses are waiting on, all the glory hunters are waiting on. So let's give them what they want. And it was, and the same shit during the game.
The thing is, Paddy, your 30 quid and my 30 quid a month. I know, obviously, I couldn't watch it. I wasn't at home, couldn't watch it, but on Sky. But my 30 quid's worth as much as a Man City fans or Liverpool fans, like.
Of course they are.
Or is it? That's the question for Sky.
It is to me and you. But at the end of the day, there's more of them, and that's who they're playing to. And that's the way TV coverage works.
They're all have dodgy boxes anyway. The Liverpool and Man City fans, they all have dodgy boxes.
The one shining light from yesterday was that I had the comfort of turning off the pile of shite that was Liverpool and Man City and turning on a proper game of football as my beloved Shelbourne FC got to the FAI Cup final, which for those in the UK, it's the equivalent of the FA Cup final here. So in 3 weeks' time, I have the pleasure of going to the Aviva Stadium to see Shelbourne for the first time ever in the Aviva Stadium, because I was away for the last one watching Villa. So the last time we were in the final was 2011. So 11 years on, we get to go and watch Shelbourne in the cup final with my son. So I'm happy.
Shelbourne are managed by Damien Duff.
They are,
and he's doing great stuff. And he's like, it's really cool what he's done. He's gone back right down to grassroots level here in Ireland, and he's working his way up through the Irish League. And he's actually fairly well thought of as a coach. And this would be great for his CV, because he's a good guy too as well.
Yeah.
Damien Duff, one of the lesser heralded good guys of football.
I can give you another name of a man who should probably go and do something like that.
Yeah, or should have done it. Yeah, should have done it. Anyway, Paddy, talking about that and talking about managers of other teams and maybe managers that aren't with other teams as well. You guys have said it previously that there was a where's it gone to? I had it all lined up and everything ready to go, and I don't have it anymore. But let me just see if I can get it. I think I lost it.
I'll answer Connell's question while you're there. How the Treaty do, lad? The Treaty were beaten by Derry City, so it won't exactly be an easy path to silverware.
Two of us would have been going to Aviva if Treaty United were playing against Shelbourne.
There you go.
Treaty United, formerly Limerick FC, formerly Limerick 27, formerly about 95 other different names as well. But that would have been good. I definitely would have gone to that game if Treaty United had got there, because that's another success story with another really good footballing coach and footballing man, and Tommy Barrett as well. Like Treaty United having a pot to piss in, and they're
nearly got there.
Playoffs. They're in the playoffs to get up to the Premier League as well. And they nearly got to the final of the FA Cup as well. So
Danny reckons it was Andy Townsend on US commentary. I didn't hear any of it, so could possibly have been.
Anyway,
bit of love there from Michael Huggins. Thank you so much, Michael. Just a shout out. Love you both, you guys, and a great podcast. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Good man. And I hope the recent events of the last few weeks haven't soured Malachi and Malachi, your nephew's love for Aston Villa or his celebrity status, because I remember you saying that he had that he really enjoyed his trip, and that people were loving him, getting a mention on the podcast when he went back home as well. So
who's that?
It's Michael's nephew. I've got
all right, very good.
That. Yeah. So yeah, everybody keep your kids supporting Villa. You just have to do it. You have to do it.
And a shout out to a lot of people sent me emails and tweets over the last few days. A young girl, age 11, went to the game for the first time and used my season tickets, and her father was over the moon because his daughter is now a fully fledged Villa fan. So our podcast, if nothing else, has created at least one new Villa fan, and she was at the match yesterday and really enjoyed it. So happy days.
Exactly. Happy days indeed. Yeah, and that's fantastic. And thanks so much for doing that, Paddy. You know, as I said, that will make that little girl into Aston Villa fan, hopefully.
And you know what? It's something I might do in the future if the tickets aren't being used. If somebody out there wants to nominate somebody or tell me something, if they're ever the ironic thing is the only two times the tickets weren't used this year is Chelsea and Manchester City.
Yeah,
it's absolutely bonkers that people have gotten their head that there was no point in going to that game. But as I said, if there's anyone out there that you want to nominate to go and watch a game that I'm not going to, absolutely, the tickets are there. You're more than welcome.
That's fantastic, Paddy. It really is. We're going to wrap it up in a moment, guys, but we will spend some time talking about what we said we would talk about there as well, and that Aston Villa are prepared to move heaven and earth to try and convince Mauricio Pochettino. That's by Matt Lawn in the Telegraph, yeah, at the moment. So, Paddy, talk to me about that, you know, because obviously he's put out names like Tuchel and Unai Emery there as well, that they're keeping tabs on those guys. Like for me, it's no surprise that names are beginning to drop. I'm happy with the caliber of names that are beginning to drop. It'd be fantastic because, like, Wolves are scuttling around with Rob Edwards now, who is a football coach, and they're going back to Nuno Espirito Santo as well. And look, all those things may work out for Wolves. I'm not denigrating them, but for once, Aston Villa are being linked with top name managers who've got away and won things in European football and have shown that they can be coaches and turn clubs around. So for me, that's exciting. But then again, look, we're Aston Villa. We get our hopes up, and then we always get kicked in the balls every so often. So talk to me about it. Like, the name Mauricio Pochettino isn't the first time that the Telegraph have floated his name around. And that, like, they usually don't go out on a limb if there isn't at least some kernel of truth to it. But what do you think, Paddy?
Well, the truth is there's a man still in the job. So, you know, where do you pull that from? Is there something been leaked from the club that something is going to happen further down the line? Who knows? You're right in saying there's the caliber of name is fantastic. To be linked with Unai Emery, who I really like, Thomas Tuchel to a lesser extent, he would be the third choice of those three for me. There's also one name that hasn't been mentioned. My old mate Andre Villas-Boas is out there with no job.
And he still has his number. We'll get him on the podcast.
So there's very little else out there, is what I'm saying. Like, you're in Pochettino, who has no job, Unai Emery, who has a job, and Tuchel has no job, and Villas-Boas. So I think realistically, of those, if Pochettino wasn't to come, I would definitely go and look for Emery. With the job he's done, I think he's worth another pop at the Premier League.
Yeah, look, I suppose the biggest thing here with this is, and you mentioned there's still a man in the job. There is no way that this club, and I know sacking Gerrard would get a lot of fans excited, but there's no way that this club want to be seen. They don't want to sack him now and then be in panic mode when everybody knows they're looking for a manager. Just like they got rid of Dean Smith, and then Gerrard was announced pretty sharpishly afterwards. The talks were that they were talking to Gerrard for a week or two beforehand. It's not going to be easy to get Pochettino. He's going to need convincing. Like, for anybody here who thinks, well, if Poch doesn't want the job, he can go fuck him. Lads, we're not exactly a Rolls Royce at the moment. It's going to be conversations. There's going to be lots of negotiation. There's going to be lots of talking that would need to be done here on this one. So I know, look, if Poch was to come, I would have loved for it to have happened 4 weeks ago. But I think these conversations need to happen specifically with somebody of that ilk and that stature, because he could literally pick clubs. And I think he actually wanted to force Aston Villa's hand with the Nice conversation that happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago when they were talking about potentially he was going to go to Nice, and then it was poo-pooed almost immediately. Look, I'm not saying that it is going to happen, but I can understand why it would take a long period of time. And is that a good enough reason to keep Gerrard in the role? I think it probably is, because this club likes to work in the shadows.
Mm.
And if you sack your manager, then it just goes into overdrive. And then other clubs might force their hands.
It
So
would
Villa
be
will play this one close to their chest, I think. And
it would
because
be
they have to get it
stupid.
right. They know they have to get it right.
It would be stupid of us not to think that the club are looking at alternatives in the precarious position we're in. I think he's only one defeat away from losing his job. I think if we lose to Fulham, even if we beat Fulham and lose at the weekend to Brentford, I think he's gone. I just don't see any way back.
Yeah, I think so too.
Albeit, I think if we play like we did against Chelsea, we go and beat those two teams, and we're having a different conversation next Tuesday. And he's the cat that's got 9 lives. So look, we don't know what's happening here. I think Unai Emery is a better fit for the job. I think he's a guy who will come in with an awful lot of heart and an awful lot of spirit for the job that's at hand. He needs to take a team that's languishing just outside the relegation zone and take it to where it belongs. You know, not even where we think it belongs, where the owners want it to belong by the end of this season, and that's in the top half. We need to, and I worry that Pochettino doesn't have the fight to take a club of, like, you know, I've nothing to base it on. I just think he's looking for a club that's just dropped outside the Champions League places that needs a little bit of a push, whereas I think Unai Emery might have a little bit more fight in him. That's just my tuppence worth on it.
So there's 2 questions here, and I suppose we'll answer both of them at the same time. And one is Kieran asks, do you guys want him gone? And then the follow-up question, I think, is if we win the 2, do Villa stick with Gerrard? I'm at the stage where I cannot see a way back for Steven Gerrard. I'm not, like, listening to the Claret and Blue podcast recently, and I think this is okay to say because this is my opinion. That and listening to Matt Kendrick, like, I don't think that he is, unless we go and win the FA Cup and finish in top 6, I don't think that there's going to be that this fan base is going to take to him. I don't think so. I think some of his demeanor is irreparable at the moment with the fan base. You know, a lot of the away fans and the home fans say he doesn't come, doesn't clap them, doesn't do anything, doesn't show them anything other than talk about them. Now it's talking about fans in interviews. I've got to beat my bonnet over the interviews because he's an absolutely horrendous communicator from a PR point of view. Horrendous for me.
Yeah.
If I was Purslow, if I was the owners that were there, I would have sellotaped him to the chair and given him some dressing down and shown him a PowerPoint presentation with clips of every time he's taken his shoe off and shoved it in his mouth. Because for me, he is the person that the media are looking to because he is the aura within the club because of what his stature was as a player. And if he's going to consistently denigrate things, if he's going to consistently deflect blame, if he's going to give out mixed messaging and mixed signals, that's a big problem for me. So from my point of view, do I want him gone? I do. I think he has to. I think it's a case whereby he's not sleepwalking, but he's stumbling from side to side at the moment. And no, unless there's a massive turnaround and we go on some winning streak, I just don't think he's going to win enough fans back to be able to be a serious contender to stay here, to have longevity at the club. And sometimes that lame duck is worse, you know, to just keep limping on with that. Just not working out for him. And I've wanted to I've given him a lot of time. And as I say, it was the Leeds game where two of us had the meltdown. I kind of went, I can't. I'm not seeing green shoots.
No. And I had a lot of messages after Forest to say, God, you were very calm considering what happened the week before. Look, to answer both questions, do I want him gone? Yes. I never wanted him in the first place. I think you can confirm that from day one.
Yeah.
I've said it so many times. I have lost complete faith in him. And I gave him a chance. He's there nearly a year. It'll be a year now in a couple of weeks.
It's a year this week, I think.
Is it?
I'm almost
Are you
certain.
sure?
You talk, and I'll find it out.
I thought it was November. No, I could be wrong. So the answer to Kieran's question is yes. I want them gone at this stage. To the other question, if he wins the next 2 games, does it matter? I don't think so, because I think shortly after that, you're looking. We've got to play Man United twice and Brighton. I think we could be on a hiding to nothing with both with those 3 fixtures as well, and then we go into the World Cup break. The question is, do we have somebody lined up? That's my question at the moment. If there's somebody lined up, I could see us win both the games of the weekend, and that person come in straight after, and we might get a new manager bounce of a couple of wins before the World Cup, which would be just what we need, and just take us that little bit out. There's no point in changing the manager after the World Cup.
Yeah, and there's no point changing. I don't think they get rid of Steven Gerrard unless they can, because remember this, they have to win the news cycle with getting rid of Steven Gerrard and his reputation and his brand. They have to win that news cycle. Remember this, guys, it's a PR game at the best of times. So, and I know people don't want to hear this, but it's the actual truth of it. I think it's the truth of it. But so if they get rid of Gerrard, they can't have a 4 weeks search for a manager, because they will get panned no matter what the results are. They will get absolutely destroyed in the media, because every single person will be lining up to say you didn't give him enough chance. If they get rid of Steven Gerrard and announce Mauricio Pochettino or Unai Emery or Thomas Tuchel, or whatever, however you pronounce it, if they announce that hot in the heels 48 hours, 24 hours afterwards, then they win the news cycle. And they can't dig in on Villa then, because I think even the blindest faith people of Steven Gerrard will have to admit that they're 3 better managers with better CVs, and they're an upgrade on 99 and about 90% of the managers that are managing in the Premier League at the moment. So Aston Villa have to be really careful with this, and it cannot be a protracted search. It has to be bang, bang, and then out and do something then. So
my ideal scenario is we go out and we beat Fulham, we beat Brentford, and then like a bolt out of the blue on Monday morning, Steven Gerrard sacked, new manager in. Let's go again. Let's get a few points on the board before the World Cup, and let him have a little mini pre-season with whoever's left behind. There was a comment there. I'm not sure I can find it now. This got me.
Yeah.
They should be coming to Villa Park and wipe the floor with us. Should they? Should any team be coming to Villa Park to wipe the floor with us? That's the defeatist mentality that costs you your job. I'm sorry. There hasn't. If this had been Graham Potter or
what did Scott Parker say to get the sack? It was akin to this, except he criticised the board wouldn't give him, like, what are we supposed to do, when we weren't given the money. It was essentially the same thing, except Steven Gerrard bit his tongue before he and didn't go on. For me, I think everybody can admit that wasn't good enough, and this is what I'm talking about. One of the biggest reasons I obviously tactics, and I would be willing to suck it up for 3 or 4 games and to see if we could coach our way out of this. I'd almost be willing to do that if every press conference there wasn't a soundbite where I'm literally trying to put Frank's red sauce into my eyes and ears so I don't have to watch it or hear it, because it's just so unprepared, and it's an ill-disciplined. Most of the interviews at this stage, specifically after match, are almost bordering on ill-disciplined, and I just have enough of it. I'm sorry. And I know that I can't sit here. Like, sometimes I'll apologize for a week straight if I feel I've gone too hard or if I've gone too mad on a podcast. And I get DMs and I get messages from people saying, Neil, you don't need to apologize. What are you apologizing? But sometimes I actually feel genuinely bad about it. If I'm doing a statistics podcast and I start spouting off and I realize halfway through it the statistics are wrong, I'm like, oh no, this is awful. So it kind of really annoys me when someone goes out like that and speaks poorly and does it and just doesn't care, because we've gone from a manager who cared about our club and really cared about our club and basically used to go and sit beside his father who had dementia and who didn't know that he was even the manager of Aston Villa. He used to sit beside him and recant the results to him and talk to him and love him and love it and love everything that his father brought with him and made him an Aston Villa supporter all through his life. And we've gone from that to somebody who's saying we should get the floor wipe. They should wipe the floor with us. It's a dichotomy that I'm not prepared to accept at this moment in time. And what I'm not accepting sorry, Paddy, I'm on a roll. What I'm not expecting every single manager to come here to be an Aston Villa fan. I certainly don't want any manager to come here and show that borderline, it's a disrespectful. I thought it was a disrespectful thing to say again, and take it out of context, maybe. I like Matt Kendrick. I listened to 2 or 3 minutes before and 2 or 3 minutes after. I still got the vibe of, well, listen, I shouldn't be judging in this Chelsea game, so don't talk about trying to sack me. And then he comes out with the boo boys from the whole end again. And I just think it's just the grating. It's grating in the interviews that's now beginning to happen, and I'm not here for that. Specifically when the results aren't on the field. I'm finished.
The one telling moment of the last few weeks where I felt he was a dead man walking was when our academy were playing in the Papa John's Trophy. Was it Portsmouth they played?
Yes, it was.
And I'm watching that game on my Villa TV on my iPad, and I've got Liverpool and Rangers on the big screen, only because that's the only way I can watch it is on my iPad for some reason. And there's Steven Gerrard sitting in the crowd at Anfield. Now, I'm sorry, you're the manager of that club. That to me tells the 11 or 15 players, or whoever was involved in that Papa John's Trophy, that I actually don't give a shit what you do. If you want to go out and play Portsmouth, you go and play Portsmouth. I'll watch a video afterwards. That was wrong. I thought that was so wrong. I was bitterly disappointed to see that. It actually so... If I was that deflated, I could only imagine how those players felt afterwards. They got a spanking, so be it. It also appears that under his leadership, our academy and under 18s aren't performing to what they were over the last few years either under Dean Smith. So there's a lot of things at play here. It really did grate on me when I saw that. I thought, what are you doing? Are you at Liverpool and Rangers because you're going to buy one of their players in January? No, absolutely not. He was there to be getting the pats on the back and the selfies with all the fans and for the camera to be on him, and it just annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah. Look, we'll work ourselves up into a ladder here, and the boys from.
I'm actually going. I'm going beyond getting annoyed.
No, I will.
Yeah,
and I will.
Yeah, so. I'm gone beyond it now at this stage. And look, as you say so many times, we can be as fickle as we like. If we go and win the 2 games at the weekend and he's still in charge, I'll still back the team.
Oh, 100%. So
if he wins those 2 games and then goes and beats Man United twice and beats Brighton going into the World Cup, it's a turnaround. But he hasn't given any indication that that's going to happen.
That's exactly it, Paddy. I'm willing to give anyone a chance as long as there's some indication that it will happen. But we're 2 wins out of the last 18.
Mm.
And on that, as Jeremy Clarkson would say, and on that bombshell, back to the studio. No, listen, look, I suppose, guys, with regards to that, look, it will be a talking point over the next few weeks. When we are discussing games and we are just doing team sheet tantrums and whatever, we will obviously be discussing what we think is going to happen in the game. So we're going to kind of curtail our Steven Gerrard in, Steven Gerrard out, that kind of conversation for a specific podcast, because we're just, I feel that sometimes I'm at risk of letting it overrun all of the podcasts. And while we're willing to talk about
the question I keep being asked is, would you take a defeat if it meant getting rid of him? No,
I wouldn't.
I want us to win every game. We're not safe in this division. We're one bad decision of bringing in a new manager from being relegated again. So no, get behind the team. If you want to boo after the game or sing "We want Gerrard out," fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. After the game, if we've been beaten, but. Look, there's only 2 teams in that division that we've beaten. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And the other 2 teams we've beaten were relegated. So the record speaks for itself. He's done nothing. He's done nothing to make us think he's the right man for the job. So, as you say, we'll move on. we'll probably be back on Thursday to talk about, or Wednesday to talk about Thursday, or whatever way we find the time to do so.
We might even
These
be
couple
back
of games
tomorrow.
are thick and fast. Yeah.
They're thick and fast is right. Yeah, they are thick and fast. And on that note, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Villa View, I think, is getting cracking if they're started already. So you guys can pop over there as well, over to see Dan and Omar. But thanks a million for joining us. God, we 300 people on a bloody Monday night. That's fantastic. And thank you to every single one of you for joining us. Thumbs up on this, like it if you would not mind doing so. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. It absolutely doesn't cost you nothing. It puts smiles on Paddy's face though. And the more people who subscribe, the more they get to see our ranty behavior from time to time. So that would be class. But anyway, listen, guys, thanks so much for everything. We will be back with a preview show probably maybe tomorrow night, most likely Wednesday night, I would say, just judging by what I've got going on. And then we will have Team Sheet Tantrum on Thursday and post-match potentially on Thursday as well. It's going to be a busy few days, but stick with us, and thank you so much for your company. Stay healthy, stay safe, and as always, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.